Hey guys, Stealth here with another part of the Busan Pocket campaign in Red Dragon. We're being attacked again, and this time we're going to have to defend this zone against a small group of North Korean army groups. They only have one command unit, which is an infantry unit, and I'll be willing to bet that they're going to set up in this small area of urban blocks in Namgang. What we're going to do is defend Geochang and Delta. We got a couple of bridges to defend, and once they do not, we only got to make sure that they don't get over these bridges for us to win. So here we are. First we're going to set up some command infantry in the most important zones, and this is the zone of Geochang and the zone of Delta. I also want to set up one command tank in Busan to make sure that we can get as many command points as possible. Next, time to put up some recoilless rifles. These guys have a 1400 meter range, so that means they're properly suited to defend this area against anything that might come close. And we're going to put up a stinger here and here to make sure that the air defense is up to par. Also some stingers here in these forests, and actually I'm going to move this one a little further to the left. Give them one resupply truck to make sure that they can keep firing stingers. Same goes for these guys over here. And I want to put in some recon. We still have the recon choppers from the airborne group, so we can still use these AH-1Ss and the AH-1Js to make sure that we can suppress any unit that comes close. Since we wiped out most of their vehicles last time, I'm also going to bring in some of the cheaper tanks. I'm going to bring in some of these A5K2s, and I want to put these near the bridge so that when anything crosses the bridge they can start firing at them. I want 2 helicopters out here, so that if the helicopters from their group, which are anti-ground helicopters armed with grenade launchers, come over, we can give them a warm welcome. Now we don't have that many points left. We still got a couple of M36s and a couple of tow vehicles. Not going to put up any tows because the moment they start driving over the road we lose sight of them from there or there. So I'm just going to see what the enemy brings in and counter it when they do. Make sure all of these vehicles are out of the way. And here you can see a large group of units. Most of these are not armed with anti-ground weaponry, or at least anti-air weaponry, but they are armed with anti-ground, as you can see here. So these are very dangerous units for my tanks. I'm going to put these back and call in some more of the cheap helicopters armed with rocket pods to suppress these units and score some points. Now the helicopters are taking fire from these VTT 323s. Call in another chopper. Put them on command move, or attack move. And now we have some tanks on this side of the border, so I want to move with my tanks before these flame tanks actually cause a lot of damage. I want these AH-1Js to go after the artillery unit, and I want this one to help against these TO-55s. Once again, they're really quickly going through all of the units, so all we gotta do now is hold out. Fortunately, I took out one AH-J1. And we won the game. This means another successful defeat in South Korea. Next we have another attack going on in Tier 1 up here, and in this sector we're going to be encountering some tanks. We still have all of the Marines up here, and what I want to bring in next are my Phantoms, my F-18s and the remaining seaplanes. I can call in some ground units right into Seoul if I want to, and I'm going to call in the 25th Armored Battalion here so that I can move my Abrams to Chor 1. Now keep in mind that tank battalions always only get 2 initiative points, so the moment they move they cannot attack in the same turn. So let's get going on Chor 1. We're only facing one group of Chonma Ho CVs, a couple of tanks and the artillery or the air group. And since they only have this zone right here, if I can find their CV with some attack helicopters or with a fighter squadron, I can take them out in one go. To do that, I want to get the command infantry in there so that the aircraft spawn right from Donghae and can find them as soon as possible. I want one group of the Cobra since I have no anti-air, and I'm just going to keep spamming helicopters to make sure we have as many tow launchers up here as we can. Call in some of the Hornets and launch the battle. Since we know that these guys don't have any ground or air attack units, we can immediately go after their command unit. So I'm sending in my attack choppers, sending in the Hornets, and we can probably win this thing before it begins. There you go. Won the battle in 18 seconds. Total victory. Now unfortunately these guys cannot attack again, so we're going to have to wait one turn. In the meanwhile we still have to defend Geochang and Geochang. Again, they bring in the groups without any command vehicles, so Geochang is going to be instantly over. In the meantime we have Geochang, which has a little more units this time around. This time they bring in the Shilkas, which means that the F4 ESs we've been using over the last couple of matches are not going to have as easy time as they normally did. And they bring in a couple of MiG-29s. To counter these I bring in my own fighter squadron. I can bring in an infantry regiment because there's not too much on these outskirts anymore, so losing Daegu at this point wouldn't be that bad. This gives me more Stingers, Yebigoons and infantry, but not really anything I can use against large groups of tanks, such as these. So what I want to do is make this an air war and make sure that I can bomb as many units as possible. Okay, we're going for the same setup we've used on this map before. Deploy the FOB there, deploy a command helicopter with it, use an infantry command squad here. We deploy some of these K1s out here to defend against an incoming wave of tanks. Space them out so that they're not all taken out by one cluster bomb. Bring in one of these infantry recon squads. These are going to be sitting on top of the mountain. This time we're going to have to make it a bit more of a tank war because there's a lot more vehicles on their part. I'm going to use a couple of M48s here in the bushes, space them out so that they can get side shots on any of those vehicles which drive by here. Call in 2 F4 ESs and 1 KF-16 with long range air-to-air missiles. Gives me a little more room for more ES fighters. And right now we got 65 command points left. So let's see how many tanks they bring out this time. Offload the recon infantry, send it up onto the mountain. My tanks are all nicely in cover, they're all camouflaged. But I do need another recon unit out here to make sure that I can spot them. We still have the helicopters if we need to. These coming with 4 ITOW or ITO anti-tank weapons. Keep in mind that the AI can only bomb units if they can see them. So if I can keep all of these tanks well hidden and make sure that my recon doesn't get spotted, I can just have at them with all of the F4ESs. And hopefully do as many points damage to the tanks as I can. Right now though, there's nothing spotted yet. Here they are. This is a big group of units, so I'm going to be calling out many F4ESs on these. Here's a trailer. He's a priority. Took out one trailer. Took out a second one, but I lost one aircraft in the process. And over here we now have quite a number of tanks, and I want to stun these with an F4DS. As you can see, this group is really getting out of hand. And now I'm not going to destroy any of these tanks outright, or at least not likely, but I can stun them and worry them to lessen their effectiveness. Can call in another F4DS to keep them stunned. And right now these K1s haven't really taken any punishment yet. Took out 2 more tanks. And the Chanma decides it's a good idea to come out here. Send out 2 of these units to try and engage the anti-air. Right now these tanks are starting to get some pounding by the artillery that's still behind here somewhere. Another F4DS to make a bombing run on them. K1 just reached elite. Keep in mind that these Chanma 4s are a bit more expensive, so prioritize these over any other tanks you can find. Right now we're seeing Shilkas, anti-air units and a command vehicle. Call in 1 K1 on this flank. And time to have these tanks push up as well. Here comes an Su-25. Let's try to catch him with the KF-16. He got hit once, and he's out of play for 140 points. These K1s are taking quite the pounding from artillery, but they're not stunned yet, so they can still fight. And we only need 170 more points, so we're going to have this battle over with pretty soon. We lost 1 K1. Unfortunately, that was the elite unit we had. And we won the match. We wiped out a whole lot of their tanks. They only got 14 left now. Took out most of their recon. Took out 2 of the Su-25s. Took out 1 command vehicle, and we only had to give up 1 K1 in the process and a couple of these cheaper tanks. So that concludes this turn. Seoul is under attack again. Make sure Seoul is not captured. Well, that shouldn't be too hard. But first we're going to have to defend Shore 1 against a recon group or an aviation regiment, which is a bit of a weird sight because they only got 4 command vehicles and 2 infantry. So let's see what happens. Still got a ton of aircraft here. Have these guys set up right here. They got no anti-air, so we can call in some Hornets because these are the most effective units we have. Call in 1 Cobra and let's get started. Call in 1 Hornet here, 1 over there. And this seems to be the only units they've called in, or at least as far as we can see. That's one of them down. Second down. Here's another one on these outskirts. They captured Pyongyang. And we really don't need that many points this time to make sure that we get the victory. We got a command helicopter moving up here. Send a Hornet after it. Unfortunately he missed. Have him come around for another pass. Another attack chopper or command chopper down. And now we've finally spotted the last one, which is on the ground, which means that an ATGM can take it out. And this F-18 unfortunately missed it. Just called out a fresh one, which lost the target. Firing at it, and we got all of their command choppers. So this battle ended in 1 minute and 20 seconds and the aviation regiment has been destroyed. Yet another fight in Geochang. Again, 1 infantry unit as a command unit. Couple of infantry units here. Shilkas. 1 supporting artillery battery in the form of 1 mortar carrier. Some helicopters and some ground vehicles. We got the same as we had last time, so let's get this battle over with quite quickly. The setup is again the same. I want my command infantry to stay behind here where they're quite safe. Deploy command tank here and a command tank in the other hot zone in the front here. Deploy some K1s with their better armor and their better range. Have some infantry defend this area. Make sure they only start firing when they come across the bridge. A Stinger unit here. Stinger in there. Protect them or resupply them with a cargo vehicle. Have a recon unit up there and over here. And call in some of the cheapest helicopters to make sure that all of these rocket pods will be hitting their targets. So again we got some of these command choppers coming in, or attack choppers. We got napalm tanks on the left flank. We got a couple units which are already picking out targets over here. And I want to get these K200s out of here as soon as possible before they start taking too much fire. battle is going to be over quite soon, because they only need to kill 240 more points. "94 points left. I would still really like to take out their command infantry here to subvert any other attacks. But since we don't know how many air units or anti-air units they have, it's not safe to get in there with a helicopter. Another good victory. And now we got 4 more battles lined up. We got one in Geochang against one of these empty groups again. So let's get that out of the list. Nothing happened here. We got another battle in Yeongdeok against these same infantry groups as we did before. We have Pongays this time, which means that it's going to be quite difficult to really defend this area using planes, since we don't have a seed group here, or at least not yet. And unfortunately the South Koreans don't have any of these units. We can bring in napalm bombers, but they're not going to be really effective against tanks, so we're not going to do that. What we can do is use our choppers again, both the TOWs and the AH-1Js. Use the tanks we have here, especially the K1s, and try to snipe out any of the vehicles we can find. Keep in mind these things have a very long range, so we want to avoid these things. They still have the Su-25Ks. They got a group of tanks, but these guys don't look like they're going to attack because they don't have any initiative points. So let's see what we're going to be up against. Okay, they got a lot of support units this time. They got 4 Strelas, 4 Pongays, 5 Shilkas and 10 artillery units. Some tanks, some heavier tanks, Type 63 and a lot of air power. This battle they need to take 925 points of losses. We need to take 4,000 before we get destroyed. But this time we're going to have to play it a little differently. Once we take out these tanks and put up a good defense net against these Su-25s, they cannot do very much because these things are supporting an attack. They cannot attack on themselves. So this time the attack is going to happen quite differently from last time. I'm going to put my units in there. I do not go with an FOB this time. Instead I'm going with 3 heavy tank groups, which are all going to start out here. Actually I can make this a group of 3 tanks. I want 1 group of, or 2 groups of F-16s to defend against the Su-25s. Make that 1 group. And I want 1 of these Fiat 6616 to make sure that they can go off-road and scout for our attack group. Going with 2 of these because I want to have some redundancy. And I can put 1 tank on the defense here. Now I know that these K1s are really capable units against any of these tanks they might be encountering. So I'm not too worried about losing any of them. Once those tanks are out of the way, we can really start focusing on taking out their anti-air units and their artillery. And again, they're going heavily on the Shilkas and the artillery. Artillery is seemingly already lining up a shot, which means that they did spot something. So I'm going to put these guys on an attack move, try to get some of these trailers out of the way. Hold these guys here for now to have these K1s together. Here goes Estrela. Now let's start to get rid of the anti-air. I put one of these KF-16s over Daegu so that when an Su-25K comes in I can spot it right away and act on it. These K1s got hit in the side because I got a bit careless. And here comes an Su-25. Lost a couple K1s. And we won the battle again. Should have done this a lot better because I lost too many of these units. I lost too many K1s. But we took out most of their tanks. They only got 7 of them left. We took out some support units. So that should make it a bit easier for our airplanes next time. Okay, that was quite a bit of fighting for one video, so I'm going to pause it here. And we'll see you next time in the next part where we're going to take Chor-won and possibly Sokcho. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit like. And if you want to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you out there.